Just state your name and
Okay.
title for the record, please.
James Ryan, Deputy Director of Human Services.
Thank you.
So if we have, say, extra funds in like Title 20 or in TANF and we need additional Title 20 funds, we could reach out to another county and say, we will provide you with the additional TANF funds and we will receive the additional Title 20 funds. So we could spend those funds in different areas. So like say Children's Services, whereas the TANF may not have as much of a need for that. So this is something that's relatively routine and standard. Nothing would be approved without your authorization. It just gives us that ability that we could reach out and make that contact with the other counties.
And we do this, we've done this previously.
We've not done it in several years, but I know other departments, Children's Services does it. But yeah, I believe it's maybe in the past 5 or 6 years it's happened before. But we have to have a new agreement each year.
Okay. Any questions for the
No.
board?
It's fine.
It's interesting. So the state or the feds come in and say, you get $10 over here for TANF, and well, we only need $5, but neighboring county needs $15 more than what they had, and yet we need some of their other pot of money, and we can just transfer it amongst.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting because it brings it down to the local level where we have needs that are very specific for Warren County that may be different than, say, Highland County. So, you know, Title 20 is the one that I like to bring up. We use all of our Title 20. We always need Title 20. And we may have a scenario where we've got extra TANF money. Say a county like Highland County may need lots of TANF money, so they'll give away any Title 20 money that they can. We'll take that, we'll transfer them to TANF, and it actually works out well for everybody then.
It's interesting. I never knew we did that.
Well, this is one of the challenges we have. We're one of only 10 states that actually have, you know, state mandated but county administered. Most of these programs, a lot of this money flows through the feds via the state and then to the county. And so we administer basically state policy. And so a lot of times, I'm familiar with this from my work with NACO, it's the state's just making an allocation every 2 years based on what they think, and this provides then some flexibility. So it's really, a lot of times it's the federal money that's flowing through the state. So if the state had the true numbers, they would be allocating those different federal pots of money correctly, and this is, it must be why they allow this transferring from county to county.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, we do our human services very, very strange. I mean, it's on one hand, there's quote local control, but the reality is we actually don't have any control. It's just state federal mandates for which we do the work on behalf of the state. So, any other?
Inefficiencies of the federal government never cease to amaze me. Here's
Well,
this huge pot of money that, as opposed to applying for what you actually think you need in a particular fund, well, here, take all this and then you guys work it out.
Absolutely. It's a very odd system, and we have 30 funds that we're dealing with. So, you know, they said Warren County, that's where it's so important to dig down into our demographics and our needs, because we can really kind of tailor that money. But I agree with you, it would be completely better if we could request the funds that we need for our programs, but instead, you know, we just have the allocation and we go from
Here's
there.
your money, go spend it.
Yep.
Wow. Wonder why we're 38 trillion in debt, but go ahead, I'm sorry, I digress.
Well, a lot of these funds, though, there's a lot of reasons, I guess, we're in debt, but like TANF has not seen an increase in TANF allocation since the 90s. So.
Right, I'm not ripping on the program, it's just the inefficiency of how the government does things.
Well, you know, there are, you know, most other states don't do it this way. So, you know, I'm sure there are pros and cons on both sides, but we you know, one of the things that I'm always thinking about is like we get forced with the mandates from the state, and a lot of times we don't have, we're not given the resources from the state to do it. And I think a perfect example of that is the SNAP allocation. Not our program, we administer the program on behalf of the state, and in this next fiscal year, we're gonna be responsible for part of the administration. Our county taxpayers are gonna be responsible for part of the administration of a state program. So this is not a small issue, but. Any other questions by the board? Is there a resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve.
You want to just read the resolution by title?
So the resolution is authorizing the Warren County Department of Jobs and Family Services, Human Services Division, to participate in inter-county adjustment of allocations for calendar year January 1, 2026 to December 31st, 2026.
Is there a motion?
I think we have one already.
Second, and yes. Okay, thanks, Jim.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Actually, the remaining three that are on the for consideration are all dealing with the same topic, and that is the Drug Task Force, and the sheriff is here today to talk about this. But the core is, if you remember that currently the Drug Task Force is under a Council of Governments, and there's been some discussion about dissolving that Council of Governments and bringing it under the purview of the sheriff's office under an MOU. So I think the sheriff's here to discuss that, and then if amenable, then there would be these resolutions to approve.
Good morning, Barry Riley, Warren County Sheriff. This is a project that started probably 2 years ago when I met with my business advisor, Commissioner Young, outside of work to describe this process. We have an opportunity here to reduce government, increase safety measures, save money, and certainly make this organization operate way more efficiently. And that's what we're here to ask for today. This would fall under the same premise of how our Warren County Tactical Response Unit works. We operate that under an MOU, and we hold the funds for them. So I look forward to, as far as liabilities go, if you look at the resolution, we have slimmed those down to almost nothing. We've been very, very busy in processing this and getting it there. We met last week with the actual Council of Government, and they voted to disband the Council of Government. Of course, it requires your approval to do that, to take on this business model. So that's what we're here for.
Yeah, so I appreciate this conversation, and I'm not necessarily opposed to it, but I feel like I need a little bit of time to look into it. I have, as you know, I have not been a critic of the Drug Task Force. I have been a critic of how we've operated the Drug Task Force.
Yes, ma'am.
Not in terms of any, I shouldn't say operated, as a fiduciary around it. And I just want a little bit of time to look into this to better understand it. My concern has always been is that this is, evolved out of federal program, the federal HIDA area, and that historically the county has kind of borne the burden of this, even in areas, outside of the county, which is distinct from any other in the entire country. And so I'm always worried about how the scope and the costs that are associated with it. Having said that, I have really appreciated the fact that you've worked very hard with your partner agencies to get them to increase their participation in the Drug Task Force, because I think that's the only way it really, works well. And
Sure.
so I know that. I also don't like councils of government, generally speaking, as I think that there is some oversight that is lacking, and I think,
Yes, ma'am.
Anytime we kind of take those things on, we know we have, direct insight into it. But that's the very rub for me, is I just want to better understand how other counties are dealing with this, and I just want another, I tried to get it before, I saw it go on the agenda on Friday, I posed my questions, and with the 3-day holiday weekend,
Sure.
I just didn't have a chance to get.
Is there any chance we could hash this out right now? Because if we don't, I have to reconvene that board and reinstitute the Council of Government. We have very measured timelines that our prosecutor's office has built out for us.
I guess I would question then why we dissolved the council of government before the.
No, we voted to dissolve the council of
Okay, so
government.
then why does that require reconvening to reconstitute?
All I can say is what Derek Faulkner has sent us, if we don't pass these resolutions today, that we would be required to reconvene the board immediately.
Okay, I guess my objection here is I'm being forced to enter into something that I don't quite understand. And I think that's really unfair in that I'm being kind of held hostage because they require another meeting. For something that I don't have necessarily any objection to, I'm just asking for the time to be able to understand it better.
Can we ask the question of how this works? So what is you summarized
Mhm.
briefly the advantages of it, saving money, more efficient, all that stuff. So tell us what we're actually doing here and why.
So, under these resolutions, you would be assuming the liabilities of the Warren County Drug Task Force. And those liabilities include some furniture and 4 contracts. Those 4 contracts include a case management system, the Federal Equitable Sharing Program, an alarm system, and a copier service. That's what you would be assuming.
So
And
it
then some
seems-
furniture.
So, okay, furniture doesn't matter. But how much furniture are we talking about? A few chairs
Not-
and
not a
tables?
lot. We're actually doing a
Okay.
lot of
Okay, but-
interagency transfers on that to
So-
slim it all down.
So I think that, are we on the hook for the, so this is funded by, how is this organization funded?
Sure, it's funded by HIDA and donations and grants. Those are the 3 fundings.
So it doesn't come from taxpayer money, from our taxpayer, general fund, or does it?
Oh, absolutely. It comes from, you annually give us a gracious donation that we use towards salary for
Okay.
one of our individuals.
Okay, for one individual. And the task force operates in what jurisdiction?
The whole county.
Okay, and it doesn't operate outside the county, is that right?
It does operate outside the
Okay.
county because we have federal partners.
Okay, but the purpose of that is because drugs come from outside the county into our county, and vice versa.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's why we work together.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm wondering so the other things that we are taking on some changing, what's the change then besides the furniture thing?
So, a council of government requires a couple of things. It requires open meetings. And I don't know about you, but an open meeting for a clandestine drug unit is not probably in the best interest of security of that organization. So it requires open meetings. Those would be no longer. It also requires us to pay the state of Ohio an annual audit fee of money we don't have. Those are taxpayer dollars or forfeiture dollars or whatever we do to use to pay these annual audits of spending. We don't have that money to spend. So as much and frustrating and time consuming it could be, we want Warren County controls. We want the processes that you have in place. We want your approvals on these resolutions that we do for funding streams and purchases and everything else, because you run a tight ship.
So this is actually bringing more control within our county and our body, is that right?
100%.
And so, so I think that maybe the concern that Commissioner Jones had with regard to this body was the lack of that kind of control. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that this is solving the problem that she's concerned about with this Council of Government Bodies.
No,
Yes.
that's not the problem.
Oh, okay,
that I
what is the
have.
problem?
So, I think that is a problem, and I appreciate that, but we are now bearing the costs associated with the audit and all of those things. So, again, I'm not saying I'm opposed to that. What I am saying is, even without our council present, I have no opportunity to really understand what it is that's happening, and we're taking on another responsibility that we haven't had before. So there may be very good reasons to do it, and you've outlined all of them, but I just don't think it's strange for me to want to fully understand what we're taking on. And so, you know,
We've been working at this for a year and a half, and whatever questions that you may have, I know that we could find the answers to those. You're not taking on any more responsibility than you currently have today.
well, we actually are. You said that we're gonna be doing the audit, and the county is gonna be assuming the funds will still be audited, and there's still
They
a
are.
cost associated with audit, so we're taking on the audit.
You are taking on the audit, yes, I do apologize,
You
you're
know,
taking on the audit.
we're, you know, so, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I trust you, Sheriff, and, you know, when you make a recommendation, I take it very seriously. But I just don't think it's, you know, because this is something I have talked about for 10 years, and even prior, when I was in the legislature, I you know, and it seems to me like we are in a pattern of taking on more responsibilities, which might be perfectly appropriate. It's just, I guess I just, you know, I'm
Can I
not.
ask who you're going to ask for the council to answer your questions?
So I wanna be able to talk to CCAO about how other counties deal with this. I'd like to talk to our legal counsel about it. I understand that the prosecutor's office has no objection. They actually think it's better because it provides more oversight, which is
Yes.
a good thing. But our job is to kind of understand how this, you know, how this impacts our overall budget and the administration of the government itself, because we're then assuming the responsibility around the contracts. It just always feels to me like the more we accept these things over time,
Sure.
the more we're paying for these things. And they may be perfectly appropriate roles. It's just, sometimes I don't think we fully kind of appreciate what we're accepting. So, you know,
Well, when you reach out to CCAO, because I don't know what I'm gonna do if this doesn't pass today. I will have to get a hold of the prosecutor's office and understand fully. I know what Derek Faulkner has wrote here, because we are against a timeline, a deadline here.
look, if my two colleagues are supportive of this, I'm not trying to stand in their way, but I will be abstaining from the
Sure.
vote, because I just object, and I don't know if this is, you know, to being asked to do so, like, you've been working on this for a long time.
Long
This is
time.
the first I'm hearing of it, though, and I think this
How?
impacts
How is that, this is the
us.
first time you're hearing of this?
I don't know, Sheriff, I'm asking you
Oh my
that.
gosh. I have followed the proper process
I'm not
to
saying.
make sure that you get this information.
This is not something I'm accusing you of. It was brought to my attention on Friday that this was going to be on the agenda, and I was like, huh, we're gonna be assuming all of this responsibility? This is the first I'm hearing of it. I have some questions about it. Had this not been a 3-day holiday weekend, I probably would have had all my questions answered yesterday.
Well, what's the question that you have for our council? Because you mentioned that you want, I'm not asking, so I'm asking Commissioner Jones, you wanted to talk to CCAO because you
So
wanna
I'm
find out.
curious, I wanna
how
find
the
out
people
how
are
other
functioning with this.
counties are operating these things,
Maybe-
and are they operating these things? I know that the COG is a bad structure, so I'm not trying to defend the status quo. I also am trying to understand what are the costs that we're assuming in this role, and at some point, you know, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to figure out if, is this a responsibility that the county wants to take on? So what happens when?
Of the 44 task forces in the state of Ohio that are HIDA, we are the only one that operates under a COG. There are no task
Yeah,
forces
I
in
know
the state
that.
of Ohio that operate under COG. So when you reach out to CCAO and they tell you that, you know, COGs are bad, no sheriff's offices, no drug task forces, no, they all operate under an MOU, that's factual.
So is this gonna sit in your budget now?
Yes.
And so what are you gonna be projecting the increase in your budget to be?
This budget here is about a $1.1 million.
But what changes from the funding model of, that's not a new increase in spending of
It's not.
1.1? You're just saying, essentially, I always just try to look at the facts. In some ways, I appreciate what other counties are doing, but a lot of times I don't care, because we like to think that we do things more efficiently. When you and I first talked about this, it was terribly inefficient. Council of Governments,
Very
you know,
dangerous.
it's set up as single purpose. It doesn't really, you know, no one's really, there is very little oversight. It's like, who's controlling it? Everybody's trying to partner. So I look at the facts of, do we need a drug task force? I would say, unfortunately, yes. Then, all right, so how do we do it? Everybody else in the state does it through the county commissioners, except us, and we're doing it through this council of government, and that was inefficient, and the level of oversight, I mean, you talk about all the reasons why you wanted to do this, so, well, let's get rid of that. And essentially, I think that's what you've been trying to do. There's
Yes.
not, there's literally 3 or 4 small contracts, copier, this, some furniture, that there's not a lot of new liability that comes in, and the partner, I'm always of the notion of, I like controlling things at the county. I like the way we do business. I like the oversight that we have. And I believe from an audit oversight standpoint, that you're already being audited. This would just be one more component of your audit, correct?
This is at the recommendation of Matt Nolan. I met with him soon after I met with you, and I can't put words in his mouth because it's been so long ago, but COGs are bad. This just folds right into our budget with very specific setup funds. There is no increase to the county with the exception of the audit responsibilities, but the auditor's office has been with us step by step through this
Well,
process.
who does the audit? Who performs it now?
The auditor's office. Oh,
Okay.
now we have to pay the auditor of state.
Okay, you're right, but if our auditor performs the audit now in the new regime that you're
Yep.
proposing that we approve of, that doesn't cost us any more money. It doesn't cost, because the auditor isn't gonna sit there and say, I'm gonna hire somebody new to do this. He's gonna do it in his own office, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
But we pay for the audit.
You
I
do.
mean,
You pay the salary.
We pay the auditor of state for the audit.
No, but I thought that's not what's happening. We're doing an audit, is it the auditor of state that's, isn't the previous way this was done through the auditor of the state?
It was done through the auditor of state, and the county as a whole pays the auditor of state to handle.
So now we're gonna do it through the auditor, our local auditor? Or is it gonna be the auditor of state still?
It will, always the auditor of state comes in and manages.
So what's the difference between what we're doing now and what we're gonna do after this is approved?
They would be under the county's umbrella
Yep.
when it would go to the auditor of state on an
But the-
annualized
the-
basis. It wouldn't be a separate.
Okay, but
It would be
here's,
separate.
from my standpoint, I can't determine best how to function with your office and in something like this. You're the one that is the investigator. You're the one who controls law enforcement. You're the one, when I was on council, when I'm on the commission, you're the independent person who does all this. What we're concerned about is how much money we spend on it.
Sure.
And so we care about that, but we want to fund you because we have, by the way, one of the reasons why we're a top-rated county in the nation is because of our safety in this county, of the good job that you all do. We have a very high level of safety and a very low level of crime compared to a lot of other jurisdictions because you do such a good job, and that's one of the reasons. But I think it's a legitimate question as to, are we increasing our costs in some way, and is that a good idea? And I'm not exactly sure that we are doing anything significant with our costs, and it's worthwhile for the other benefits as far as I'm concerned. And I think what Commissioner Jones wants to understand is what those costs are. So can you tell us that?
I can't tell you if there is an increase that this $1.1 million adds to the annual audit fee. I don't know that answer.
So is it?
But it's something negligible. I mean, there potentially is a small increase
Sure.
on that. But the big money, the north of $1 million, the funding vehicle, all of that remains the same. You're not saying, hey, Warren County General Fund, you're taking on a new responsibility for a $1.1 million budget, and the way we used to pay for this is gone.
That is correct.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah, but I think the risk that's out there, and it may be a risk that the county is willing to take, is when the HIDA funds dry up, or the grants that you're operating on dry up. We are assuming responsibility for the operation of the drug task force, and so.
But last year, I didn't fill a position when a grant dried up.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
was- it was
I
one of the
almost like that
hardest
better,
decisions.
that if funding goes away, then we control more.
Yes.
Your task force can't have 20 people anymore, it can have 10
That's
people or
correct.
whatever.
This function is essential. Whether we had a task force or not, you would be having a lot of officers working on this and doing it every day of the year, 24/7, because that's what's going on. And whether we are operating it through this task force with this function, the way it's going on, or we do it some other way, you make the best judgments how to do it. I want to support you in that. I don't know why we wouldn't approve this today. I always am in favor of allowing my colleagues to have more time and information if they need it. But here, if there's a countervailing problem, which you're telling me that there is, and the fact that I don't understand what I don't know,
Sure.
but I do believe that what I do know, because I'm trusting you, is sufficient for me to vote for this today.
In very simple terms, good old Warren County, my home, your home, we routinely rank in the top 5 to 10 of seizures of all drugs in the state of Ohio. We served 90 internet crimes against children search warrants last year on individuals. We are a consumer county. We consume drugs and we consume porn, and that's my job. And this here makes it safer for us to operate. It reduces government. It gives us an opportunity to be a part of something that has been tried and tested throughout the state. And we already do it now with the Warren County Tactical Response.
And this is how, and this in fact is how all these other counties with drug task forces are currently operating.
That is
right?
correct.
So it's not like we're gonna go to the CCAO and find out that they prefer to do it our way, since we're the singular entity that does it this way.
I don't think that is true, that 87 other counties operate in this way. I just don't think that's true.
No, I don't think there's 87 other drug task forces in this state. There's combined, and the last that I checked was about
So are
44.
you then telling me that every drug task force that exists is operated under the Board of County Commissioners?
I'm telling you that they operate under a memorandum of understanding. And it may be some other police jurisdiction that holds that memorandum of understanding. So not all sheriff's offices hold the memorandum of
But it's
understanding.
not a cog.
But it is not a cog.
That's the
Absolutely
point.
not. And there is a list on I think it's the state auditor's website of all cogs in Ohio, and I encourage you to look at those sometime.
I
It's
don't need
fascinating.
to. I don't like COGS. I've already
They're bad.
said that. This is not about me defending the status quo at all. And it is not about me not supporting the drug task force. That's just not what's at issue here.
And when I understood that, I think it comes down to the cost and whether or not there if by doing this, there's increased costs, but I don't see any, I would gladly pay the increased cost for the benefit that we're obtaining, and I would rather have more local control. I don't see any reason why we don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, to put a bow on this, I mean, I'm fine with moving forward today, but I think Commissioner Jones brings up a valid point. This has not been, and I don't know if you have been, obviously I was in the middle of this since it was
Sure.
our idea way back when. But there's not been any discussion from staff coming our way of, hey, they're thinking about doing this is all being wrapped up. And I don't know if that's communication from staff or what it is, but it's a fair point to say, hey, we just got this. But it's also, based on your reaction, that you thought we did know about this
I did.
all along. So I don't know where the breakdown in that is. That is a bit problematic, but in the efficiency of wait, now we've got to go get these other members of the COG, we've got to get them back together, when that's not going to make a difference in my opinion at all if we meet one more time. I want to do this, so I'm fine with moving forward with it today. But I think there is a problem with why are we just getting all of this on Friday? And there's not been a work session, there's not been discussion, there's not been a public meeting.
Well, if that why, if we figure that why out, and I'm responsible for it, it won't happen again,
Yeah, I don't,
but I'm not.
you know, I'm just surprised to see this on a Friday.
Sure.
I have questions about it because, as my colleagues know, that for going on 10 years, this has been something that I have been harping about. And the way you are proposing to solve it may rightly be the appropriate way. But I just, you know, am frustrated by, as you are frustrated that you've been working on this, that it's, you know, it's not because I don't trust things, but I feel like that's my job, is to kind of understand what I am committing the county to do today, tomorrow, and well in the future when this board isn't here and this sheriff isn't here. And, you know, I just don't think it's unreasonable, but you've heard from both of my colleagues. I'm disappointed that I can't be enthusiastically supportive of this because I don't have the confidence, because I've not, you know, I've not been given the opportunity to do the due diligence.
I
So,
understand.
Well, so having said that, which I appreciate, and if we go forward with this today, because I'm willing still to go forward with it, if then Commissioner Jones looks into this and says, oh my gosh, there's this terrible thing that's going to happen that we didn't realize, I'd like to reverse course and reconstitute this council and government thing. Can we do that?
Oh, I'm sure there's a way.
Well, I'm sure
there
there's a
is.
way too. So my encouragement would be, if I have a colleague that will vote with us, and then I think that Commissioner Jones is going to abstain, that she go and get her information, come back to us next week or whenever she's satisfied herself,
And I will be here
say,
if-
oh, by
if
the
needed.
way, there's a really good reason why we shouldn't have done this, and then let's raise it again.
yeah, I don't think that is likely that I would come back and say, well, we should reconstitute a COG, something that I have just not supported to begin with because of the lack of, you know, oversight around it. What I, you know, am just curious about is, you know, the things that I would be asking other counties if they are holding the MOU is, I'd be curious as to what the costs are that, you know, associated with that over time, you know. And again, I think Commissioner Grossman is exactly right. I think this is in the public interest. I think it's something that we all value as a community. But I you know, that's your part of it, and my part of it is to just kind of understand the mechanics of it, and then how do we protect the taxpayers over time.
Sure.
To ensure that we are, and it's like, you know, Commissioner Young is also right. It's like, we do a really good job of our oversight responsibilities as it comes to the budget, and we, you know, make sure that we're not growing, you know, government any more than necessary. But this is going to be, you know, this is rarely an area that is on the decline.
Yep.
It is on the incline. And once we take on the responsibility, then we've taken on the responsibility, so.
Yeah, but I could foresee, I mean, I get, we're not going back to a cog, but if there is new information that comes along and it's, oh, wait, you don't wanna do it through the county, you wanna do it through the largest city's police, and the MOU should be through them, something that we don't
Yeah.
foresee, then, okay, maybe we reassess that, but yeah, I don't wanna jam it up, so if we're done, I'm fine calling the question, moving forward.
So I've got 3 separate resolutions. The first resolution is transferring cash balance from the Greater Warren County Drug Task Council of Government Fund 9977 to the Warren County Drug Task Force operating under a Memorandum of Understanding Fund 2239.
So moved.
Roll call?
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
The
You
second,
gotta say your name.
oh, Mrs. Jones, sorry.
I'm saying.
Thank you. The second resolution is accepting assets and inventories from the Warren County Drug Task Force Council of Government for use by the Warren County Drug Task Force through a memorandum of understanding.
So moved.
Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
I'm abstaining.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And the final resolution is transferring financial obligations and liabilities from the Greater Warren County Drug Task Council of Government to the Warren County Board of County Commissioners on behalf of the Warren County Drug Task Force operating under a memorandum of understanding.
So moved.
Roll call?
Mrs. Jones?
I'm abstaining.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Next, we have Candace, who's returning this week, since Commissioner Young is here, to go through our CDBG application summary.
Good morning, Candace Francis with Warren County Economic Development, here today, like you said, to present the CDBG projects that were submitted for 2026. So our allocation for this year is $904,912. We received 3 public service projects, which all in totaled $160,400, and we received 8 construction projects totaling $1.2 million.
Candace, do you have a copy of your, is that left in?
I think I,
It's in your packet.
It's in my packet, but I don't have it.
I have extras as
Oh,
well.
I'm sorry, it's, I can find it on the,
Here.
scroll down, but is it here?
It's the last page.
Got it.
Last page?
I believe so.
I have a copy in my office. Okay, I see it, thank you. Yep, thank you.
So today we would just like to, I can run through the projects. I know that this was presented briefly last week. If there's any thoughts, any questions before?
I just want to make sure this was a question I had on the form, I just wanted to make sure I understood. So when you have the public service total of 16400, we need to cut 3400 from there, at least 3400
Yeah.
from there.
So, we're also, so out of that, 900 some odd thousand, we're saying about 80 for admin, so that's gonna leave 124,912. Out of the public service projects too, we can only go up to that 15%, so keeping it around 130,000 is what we can support between those 3 projects.
Okay, so are you telling me that it's 130 less the administrative cost?
From the
I
total?
wouldn't imagine there's much administrative cost with these projects,
We,
the community service projects.
that's for the all-in total, so
I understand, but I guess I don't understand then why you raised that piece with it, if it didn't directly correlate to my question.
Could you, I'm sorry, I thought you were asking, I must
So,
have misunderstood.
am I to understand then that you haven't deducted the administrative costs from the total grant, or you did then on the 130?
I had not done it from, yes, correct, so from that total of the 904, administration 80, and then that leaves the 824,000.
So we're
That
operating,
130,000 amount that we're allowed is based on the total.
Okay, so we don't need to, so are you saying then we need to subtract the administrative cost piece from that?
From the total, not from the 130.
Okay.
yeah, but the total amount is 824,912. That's what we've got to allocate.
Yes, and you can adjust the administrative piece if you'd like. That was just kind of what we took.
Yeah, no,
So out of the,
that was
so,
after, yes.
so
after
out of the first
admin.
piece, public service projects, you have a total of 160,400. We're saying we have to cut 3,500? That's it?
30,400.
Okay,
Yeah.
30,000, not 3,400,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so we just, so, and we've got the, what was the award last year? You included that, didn't you?
Yeah, so for the public service projects from last year, we did 40,000 for Family Promise, 40,000 for Safe on Main, and then 50,000 for the CAC.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling on this is to try to be consistent with what we've done in the past. Safe on Main and Warren County Child Advocacy Center are essentially asking for the same thing that they had gotten last year. I would make the reduction in the Family Promise line item, because that's substantially more than what we've been giving them.
Yep, and that, well, effectively, by taking 30,000 from them, we're going back to what they got for received last year.
Correct.
It's, so let's, I'm in favor of doing that. So that gets that down to 130,000, correct?
Yes. So then assuming the 130,000 and assuming we keep admin where it is, that leaves 694,000.
Okay, and we had a lot of questions about the first line item in the construction projects with the first one, the 200,000, and maybe getting rid of that entirely, right? Okay, so if we got rid of that $200,000 out of that one, then let's talk about, if you take the 130 from the 824, so we're down to about, what?
694.
690, yeah, 600,094, 912.
Okay, and now we're chasing, if you get rid of that 200,000, what's the remainder? If you add all those up, how much do we have there?
If you take out the COA one?
Yeah, yep,
Let me I brought my calculator because I'm no good at quick math.
If you took their 200,000 out, it'd be 1,040,000.
okay.
And then the other thing that I brought up last week as well with the Franklin Township one, that one's grayed out. I just had a concern on eligibility with that one because it's not.
Which one?
That's the third one
Franklin
down,
Township.
Franklin Township, out of the construction projects for 95,000. It's not in a low to moderate income census tract. However, the township did conduct, income surveys, but I don't think that they received a decent enough sampling to say that for sure. We
Okay,
know
so
gosh,
that, is
I
that
don't
why
know.
you've left that not pink and, but white?
Correct. You
Okay,
can still
so-
fund it, it just could be something that HUD, if we get monitored, they might come back and not agree with that
It's a
project.
paving project. Are
Yes.
we responsible for, is the township, they're responsible for that, not the county, for the repaving?
The project within there, yeah, they would be
No,
responsible.
my question is that some township roads, we handle, we,
Oh, I see.
our engineer does this and they pay for it through our funds that we get into the county. So it's not paid for out of that. So in other words, this is something that we're probably gonna pay for anyway.
My understanding is that they do their own, I don't know how it works, if sometimes, is it that I know they do it with like the sidewalks when they go all in, and I don't know if it's also with
I
the
just don't
paving.
know what road it is.
Well, I think
You
the
know?
biggest,
That
I think
they
the
might go
biggest
in on a
issue
bigger
there is
total,
that,
I'm not
as
sure.
it sits in front of us right now, it is not in a low to moderate income tract.
Okay, so if we take that out, and we've already taken the 200,000 out, that takes $300,000 out of the, what was remaining amount there.
The other one that I sort of asked about and Candace confirmed was the South Lebanon did receive an award in 2025, but has still not let out their contract for that project. So
And that's a similar, yes, and that's a similar issue just with all of the projects from last, again, I'm learning the process from scratch. And then also the HUD allocations came out very late last year. We had a shutdown in the middle of all of it, so last year's projects are delayed. But
So
they
you're
do
saying we
currently.
shouldn't hold that against them because it's delayed?
What about,
That, they are also, they have some turnover too. Obviously Jerry Haddix, he also retired, so I will say there's delays on my part, there's delays on that part, I think just because of the learning curve. I think it's a double whammy in this situation.
go back to your Village of Pleasant Plain tornado siren. They don't have a tornado siren, or there isn't one that
To
is
my
audible
knowledge,
there? They've
No.
never had one?
I didn't ask that question,
Well,
but
how do they, if there's a tornado, I hear sirens when they go off. And of course, people are
Have you ever
broad.
been to Pleasant
Pleasant
Plain?
No, no, I admit, I'm not in Pleasant Plain. So, they've never had one before, apparently.
I'm for tornado sirens.
I'm for tornado sirens, but my only question is this, is that are they able to hear sirens from other jurisdictions? That's my question.
my understanding is no, or at least not in a way that feels safe to the general public, I would say. I can reach out and confirm that, but
I
No,
would be surprised if they could hear
It's
tornadoes.
so rural.
It's so rural.
Okay. All right, so then we have, and is that a project, that's really a construction project? And it's in a low, it's in an area that
Custom
meets the, okay.
Plus Pleasant Plain hasn't gotten money in several years, so.
Yeah,
I'm
that's,
fine.
okay, oh, good. So can we cut something out of one of these other construction projects? Because how much do we
How
have
much
to
are we
cut?
having to cut if that's 300,000 they've already cut?
let's see where we're at on our total then.
We're still gonna have to cut a couple 100,000 out.
6,
I
One of the
think.
thoughts that Candace had, and I don't know if the board would find favor in it, was when it came to the Village of Butlerville and their sidewalk, is the possibility of doing that potentially in phases. Last year, they received $35,000, but as if you wanted to do that over like a 3-year phase, you could do something of that.
What if we cut 100,000 out of Butlerville and cut 50,000 out of the City of Franklin Fourth Improvement Project and 50,000 out of the Lebanon Canal Project? They get most of the money, and I think that if we cut another 200,000 out, I think we're about at the level we need to be. Is that right?
Yeah, potentially, yes. I don't wanna say that without adding it up here. Okay, so that would be 150.
I'm just talking about, you cut 100,000 out of the.
It's almost 500,000 that they just,
Okay.
that would be cut.
And I think that gets down to about the
I
level we need
apologize,
to
I'm
be
no
at.
good at on-the-spot math, but yes, that sounds correct.
So I'm talking about taking 100, giving 120 to the Village of Butlerville, giving 150 to Lebanon for the West Warren Canal Project, and taking 50,000 out of City of Franklin East Fourth Project, so they get 150, they get nearly all the money they need.
And eliminate the home modifier and eliminate the
Right.
repaving, and I am fine with those recommendations.
Take out home modifying and then Franklin Township, and then all others keep, and then modify the amounts.
And I think that
Okay.
those people, they're getting most of their money, so I think they should be happy with that.
All right, I think I know what I'm doing then. Thank you.
Thanks, Candy. Okay, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
But before we do that, could we, our friends from Rumpke are here, did you guys want to address the board, or what?
We'd like to have a sidebar if you get a few.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and continue on with you. I just didn't want to make them wait if they had something quick for the board.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to consider the appointment of a director of the Office of Management and Budget and Director of Human Services pursuant to ORC 121.22G1.
And
There's two.
Oh, I'm sorry. And second off, Is that the deliberate in private?
Yes.
Okay, but that's not executive session. Is
But we'll
it?
probably just exit executive session and then stay
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, but, so I, but that,
Okay.
do I make a motion for
Is
that?
there a second?
Yeah, second on the executive session.
Roll call.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.